Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of Feelings in Flannel, where we reveal our number 3 rom-com out of our top 5 rom-com list. This episode will hold some more laughs, and we get into the comparing two different themes of a movie, and where we discuss some surprising tips and tricks on how to make your rom-com movie experience even greater. Please be sure to like and subscribe and share it with your friends. So let's get into it.
Feelings in Flannel is hosted by us. I'm Adam.
I'm Amylia.
And we are a father-daughter combo who are setting out to debate the merits of love, romance, humor, and faith in rom-coms new and old.
Listen and join us as we seek to name the top 5 rom-coms and discuss masculinity and femininity together and how that plays into role. Make sure to like and subscribe and share it with your friends on social media.
Stay tuned. All right, here we are, episode 5 of Feelings in Flannel of a 10-season episode. This marks the halfway point.
10 episode season.
What did I say?
10 season episode.
That's not what I meant.
I was like,
There are 10 seasons in this episode. 10 episodes in a season is what we chose to do. Today is episode 5. And that puts us at the halfway point. How are you feeling about this so far?
I'm feeling really good. Now that we've done it for a few times, I'm more comfortable with this microphone in my face and the camera.
Well, we've gotten into your, what do you describe it? Your
niche.
This is your niche, which is no doubt proving to be true because you are putting me to shame. And there's no, everyone can see that. But that doesn't mean your list is winning. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I too, I think we're settling in, and I'm excited because part of the reason we wanted to do this was to spend time together on both sides. But one thing that I really wanted to bring to this that you didn't mention was allowing people to kind of get a view into our relationship and our conversations. And I really feel like that's happening. I feel like both of us have settled in and have gotten comfortable enough to just be us. And I like that. So I look forward to the feedback that we'll get around that, assuming that there will be some. So we have opened the list up. We had number 5 exposed, and we did number 4 last episode. And here we are, episode 5. We're going to talk about movie number 3 and get into that. So you were really excited in episode 4 about the movie you had.
Yes.
Do you feel the same about this one? And I assume, I'm just going to make the assumption, you've watched it over and over and over again.
You are correct. This movie I have seen multiple times a year. This movie I'm excited about in a different way. The other one is exciting because it's a lot of comedy and it's just a feel good movie. This one is feel good in more of a solemn kind of relaxed, sentimental way. And I love this movie with everything that I am.
Okay. Wow. That's just strong words for a number 3.
I know. Making top 5 was very difficult because I feel this way about almost all the rom-coms I've ever watched. But I had to tone it back because I was a little aggressive in the last episode.
Yeah. I mean, you come out of the gate hot in the last episode. You woke everyone up right at the beginning. Based on your description, I feel comfortable saying ours is not the same. So that chance of that is getting slimmer and slimmer.
I would be surprised if this was your number 3 or in your top.
Well, right now, I love numbers and data. Mm-hmm. Right now, there is a 33.3333% chance that we have the same movie. So still a pretty good chance, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm saying it's probably about a 0.1% chance that it will be the same.
I guess technically that is probably better because I'm I'm making the assumption that we started with the same 5 movies and we didn't. So it's much, much less than 33% chance. But anyways, so are you ready? Ready to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know how to do it now. Wow. Lost right out of the gate.
I'm a huge fan of consistency and patterns, so since I went first last time, you can go first this time.
All right. So you're just going to kick it back to me.
Yes.
So how do we set this up? We're going to set it up this way. I think that we talked a lot last episode about how a broad audience can connect to a movie, and that always helps. So here again, without further ado, my number 3 is Hitch, the 2005 romantic comedy starring Will Smith. We talked a lot about Hitch in episode 4 because this was your number 4. It is my number 3. You were right that it would rank high for me. I made a strong statement in last that this is one of my favorite movies of all time, and that is true. And that's true because of so many of the things we talked about in episode 4, which our listeners will just have to roll the tape back to catch. But just to hit a few of those highlights, love Will Smith movies. He's funny. Kevin James, his physical comedy is hilarious. He's just a great guy on screen. Like he just pulls you in. He and Will Smith both. So I love really both of their movies' history. So I could put a lot of their movies on a list, not this list. But the fact that they came together to make a movie, it's side splitting. The first time you watch it, it's just a funny movie. So there's that. The criteria, it ticks the criteria for me. So I get to talk about that in this episode because it was your number 4. But we'll save that here for a little bit as to how it hits the criteria for me. But number 4 for you. I'm sorry, number 3.
Number 3.
Number 4 was last episode.
Yes.
What's your number 3?
My number 3 is very different tone than this movie. It's a lot more solemn or slow. Some people don't like this as a favorite because it is on the slower side. I like the slower ones because they're like a comfort movie. This is definitely a comfort movie.
Okay.
I watch this when I don't feel well because it's just like...
Is it funny?
Yeah, there's comedy because the movie is while you were sleeping. There's comedy because it's Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, okay.
And she's my favorite female actress ever, period. No one will ever beat her.
She's pretty good.
She's very good.
Yeah.
And another reason why this is a favorite is because it's Christmas. It is also classified as a Christmas movie.
Okay.
Because the
I
setting
did not
is
know
in Christmas.
that.
Yeah.
In fact, I have seen this movie, but I would have to rewatch it to even participate really well in talking about it. But we'll give it our best shot here. So tell me a little bit about the movie. Catch me up. I'll remember, I'm sure.
I will refrain from too many details because that's my problem.
Yeah, this is a 30-minute episode.
In short, Sandra Bullock's character, Lucy, works at this train station right here, subway or whatever it is, and she is the ticket. She collects they pay for it. And she sees this guy, he's handsome. Personally, I don't think so. But in this movie, she was like, wow, and she's in love with this guy from afar. He has no idea she exists. He just drops his coin, doesn't even look at her.
Okay.
She has this fantasy in her head. And then he gets mugged and ends up getting knocked onto the train tracks unconscious. So she saves him.
So he's a repeat traveler.
Yeah.
She sees him on a regular. Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
So she ends up saving him, and he's in a coma, or he's unconscious for a while. And she's at the hospital with him because she feels guilty because she's like, oh my gosh, and she wants to know if he's okay. Then his family comes in, and they are mistaken that she is his fiance.
Right. I'm remembering this now.
So the whole thing is they're like, oh my gosh, they're getting married, and the guy on the screen is Jack, and that he's
Okay.
the brother of the guy in the coma.
Okay.
So the love story takes a turn when they start to fall in love. She spends time with his family because she doesn't have a family really in this movie either. And she starts to get to know them, and then the whole movie is them falling in love, and then it is explained that she's not really his fiance, and this happens at the altar. She's like, this is a lie. But Soul, the grandpa in the movie, he knows it's a fake, but he grows to have a heart for her and keeps her, and then she ends up telling the family at the altar that she's in love with the other brother. Okay. And then it's just great. Plus it's Christmas.
Yeah. So it's got all the things around there of that giddy and girly.
Yes.
Nonsense.
A whole lot.
The heart squeeze, as you like to refer to it.
Lots of heart squeezes.
I'll have to go back, because we do have to decide, we've committed to, we don't have to do anything, but we've committed that by the end of season 1, we will have a unified top 5, which means I'm going to have to watch this. It's been a while since I've seen this, so, but I do remember it based on your description.
Well, I want to watch it again with you.
All right, well, we'll make it a movie night.
Yes, this movie has my heart. And some people were guessing that this would be my number 1 because I talk about it a lot. And I'm surprised it wasn't, because it was tied with another chick flick, RomCom, for a long time as my running favorites. But things changed when I had to sit down and actually make a list.
It was tied with another one that is still in your top 5?
Yep.
Okay, so
that's why I didn't say it.
Can't be exposed now. Okay. Well, so your criteria, did you hit all of them? Do you want to talk about that now?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, they hit each 3 criteria plus the bonus of the soundtrack. The heart squeeze, there's a lot of moments like that, especially with her and Jack in the movie, of course, but there's also heart squeeze moments with her and Soul, the grandpa, because she doesn't have a family, and there's a lot of like heartfelt moments between she falls in love with his family too. She doesn't have one, and they like adopt her into this family, and they're eccentric and they're crazy, but they have a big heart for everyone.
I can see right now that when we watch this again, I'm going to like that part because it fits my belonging criteria. Like, she doesn't fit in because she probably, I'm guessing, because she doesn't have a family, this has to kind of learn how to be a part of a family, learn how to act in a family, and that part will connect for me.
Her character is polar opposite from her character in The Proposal. Like in The Proposal, she's hard driven, she's a hard head, she's a little bit rude. This one, she's super sweet and super relaxed, and she's just a really sweet character. And the other criteria, the shift, there's a few moments where it happens when they start to realize that they are in love with each other. But neither one will admit it to each other because he really thinks that she's in love with his unconscious brother. So he doesn't want to interfere because that would be a bad brother. Yeah. But he wants her to really say, no, I'm not in love with him. And so the shift happens a couple of times. And there's many, many cute moments with them with, like, they're funny and heartfelt. And then the knowing one, this is one of my favorite chick flick moments ever, is when they were just getting to know each other. She talks about her and her dad traveled a lot before he passed away. Okay. They went a lot. And the one place she really wanted to go was Florence, Italy, I believe. And she mentions that briefly when they're walking together. He walks her home. And she just says that, and then later on in the movie, he gets her a Christmas gift, and he gives it separate from his family. And it's a snow globe with Florence in it. And then at the end, when they get married, their honeymoon is going to Florence. And it says that on the back of the tray. It's just like he heard that when they weren't even interested in each other and noted that and
remembered it.
gave her something that he knew would be meaningful because he listened, but also because he knew she wanted to go there with her dad eventually, and she never got the chance. So there's a few moments like that where they just...
Yeah.
And the soundtrack is Christmas songs, because you can never go wrong with a Christmas soundtrack, because I live and breathe Christmas.
We might be separating on that right here. That's not a soundtrack I would probably be drawn to. However, you said in your description the soundtrack like has to match the vibe or the thing. It fits, right? In that case, you don't want some like Metallica playing in the background if
No.
they're like shopping for gifts. I mean, I get it, so it fits. I think I would be okay with it, like it enhances the movie. But when I say soundtrack, it's one that I want to take away. Like I could listen to those songs over and over. And Christmas music just, it's not my thing. I don't hate it. There's some songs I really, really like, but even still, they fit in like a 2-week window for me. Like, I don't want to hear them outside of that 2-week window.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I think what I like about this movie, and again, I'm going to have to go back and rewatch it to really know all the details, but remembering enough from what you described is one of the things that you can easily take away from a movie like this is how proximity starts to help foster relationship and shift perspective and that kind of thing around romance. And in this case, she's there because she feels guilty, but is playing this role that they assumed. And so it allows him and her to be there, really centered, focused, caring about a thing together, and in that proximity, there becomes a relationship that kind of births or flowers out of it. So that's kind of a cool thing I think we could take away even just for regular life. I assume there will be people listening that aren't in relationships, and that's part of it. It's kind of hard to be in a relationship if you're not ever consistently around or with people, especially of the opposite sex. So it's something here I think is one of those deals we can look at and go, wow, that makes sense. Not suggesting that someone should fake being in a relationship with someone in a coma. That is probably going too far. But can we circle back to Hitch for a little bit? I said it in the last episode. I'll say it again. Love this movie. It's hilarious. The redemptive piece of this, we talked a little bit about. It was really, it was kind of a false redemption. That's not right. I'm not saying that right. In her eyes, he needed, in this case, Hitch, needed to kind of redeem because he was like some sort of scuzz, right? Just teaching guys to bag girls. And that's not really who he was at all. And so it wasn't so much that, but you do watch that redemptive component happen in her perspective as she gets to kind of get to know him and who he is at that level. The creative and patient pursuit, this movie's almost over the top on that. I mean, we talked about it again last episode. Hitch does his homework, but the one when I say creative and patient, the Kevin James crushes this because despite all of the suave coaching he was getting, he just throws it all out the window and just is his authentic self. And that is just an incredible thing. And I can say, as someone who's been married for 25 years in a relationship for 26 and a half with the same person, there's nothing I want more from my relationship than my spouse to just be who she is, right? Be authentic, goofy, whatever. And you see that in Hitch. I think it makes it such an endearing movie because he's a goofball, from the dance floor to his just the things that he says. Great, great movie. And kind of really, in this case, opens up her, which her name is what?
Allegra Cole.
Yeah. So she's like a movie star or,
She's a fashion.
okay.
She's a top notch. She's the head of this company, but she doesn't really have a voice.
Right. And in her company, image is everything in the world that she has. And he draws her out to kind of be her true authentic self, which is a bit silly and crazy as well. We talked about the soundtrack already last episode, but I think having the last one with Hitch is Kevin James' character is the obvious pick for Out of Place until you roll it out to the end, where now suddenly Hitch is the one who's out of place, which we talked plenty about. But those bits there, when they really kind of find their place in a place they don't belong or don't feel comfortable, and then they settle in. And in this movie, a thing that is so, I think, attractive from the male perspective, first and foremost, it's hilarious. The movie is just over the top funny. So that's easily the top reason. But past that, I think there is something in all of us where we've all felt at some point, I don't fit in here. Every character in this movie finds a way to fit in and belong again. From Allegra and her company to I don't know their names, Albert, and just society in general, to Hitch, and then I think her name is Sarah. They all kind of find that bit, and that is a thing that I just think as a human we connect to. And these are the things that I would say from the male perspective that we're not always consciously thinking of that. In fact, I'd say it's rare for men to consciously think, I like that because it made me feel like I was seen or I belong. But the reality is that's actually happening behind our eyes. We feel things and we categorize those things really, really simply, right? We're angry or happy. And there's a lot in between there that we don't feel or understand or acknowledge. But I think if we were to dig deep, what we know and can bet on is when a guy watches a movie like this, they feel like, man, that's someone I can be, right? Kevin and Hitch, they're so approachable as characters, and I think it draws you in to say, I want to feel that. I want to feel like I fit in, like I belong. So I just love Hitch. I can't say enough about it. It's probably one of the best. I'd say, how about this? If a female listener is wanting to sit down and get her husband or significant other to get into a rom-com, do you think Hitch is a good one to start with?
Yes, because I think they'll be caught off guard because they're probably expecting some super romantic, so much love, ishy gushy, unrealistic,
Right.
and then they'll watch it and be like, oh, this is actually kind of funny, and then I think it's just the whole movie is like masterpiece, the way they incorporate all the characters together and how Hitch goes from being so confident to so insecure, and Albert goes from so insecure to so confident.
Yeah.
And even with Allegra and Albert being, I think it was at the fashion show or the dance thing, they have one of the best scenes in the movie when Alex tries to teach Albert to dance and he does these iconic moves. And at the dance party, he's trying to rein it in and stay in his box, like Hitch said, but he can't. And every time Allegra turns his back, he's going crazy. She turns back around, and he's like, but she's dancing crazy too. So I feel like you get to see her insecurities too, when she can't whistle and all that. And they, at the end, you know, Hitch realizes, yeah, sometimes there's things you can do, but there's really no formula. It's just being who you are. And, you know, that she was mad because she was like, you made me look like an idiot. And she told him about the inhaler and spilling food on himself. And he was like, that was all Albert's, as in none of mine.
Yeah.
So she's like, wait, that was really him. And it's just the best movie. I would definitely recommend anyone who's trying to get into rom-com, especially if you're a male. Watch Hitch.
You know, I think one of the things that Hitch brings is a realistic view that sometimes engaging in romantic behavior from a male side is very, very mechanical. Yes, the no doubt the best thing is to be you, but setting up and making plans and being kind of fake spontaneous, it's a good thing. Right. And it's something that we can all do. And it doesn't have to be over the top. You know, these movies take it to a place. Like, I'm not going to probably end up at a fashion show. Well, let me correct that. I'm not going to end up at a fashion show. But there are some things that I can do, you know, just to go, yeah, that was planned. But I put some thought into it. And I think that's important. Hitch exposes that. And that's one of those things where you go, okay, maybe I can do that. But, you know, on the other side, like, don't be mad. Like, if your guy's trying, like, it's gonna be rough at first. You know, it's gonna be a little bit clunky, but we get better with time. Kind of like us doing this podcast.
Yep.
We relax a little bit.
Yeah.
We stop shouting into the mic.
What was that? Episode 3 or 2?
It was last episode.
No, it was. Yeah, it was because with my I just got a little bit excited.
Well, that's okay. We are enjoying this, and it is exciting, and we're starting to get a look now of one, how different but similar a list can look. We've got number 3 out as we're wrapping up episode 5 here, but want to encourage the listeners, give us your input, give us your feedback. One, we would love to know, what rom-com do you like that we've not mentioned yet? If you want to fight for one that's been on the list so far, let us know that in the comments. Of course, we love it when you subscribe and continue listening. Share with your friends, because we're enjoying this process and we want to share this process with you. But we haven't yet decided where we're going with season 2. Now, I don't know yet. We have committed mentally to doing season 2. But, you know, we're going to count this down and then kind of wrap up the season. And then we got to decide, where do we go from there? And I think we got some good ideas, and I look forward to exposing those. But this has been fun. I can't wait to rewatch While You Were Sleeping.
Me neither.
We'll have to. Me neither.
For like the 30th
We'll have to
time.
put that on the list. Before we go, any recommended rom-com snacks?
To eat while you're watching.
Yeah, I mean, eating and watching movies goes together.
Definitely.
But is there a better rom-com snack? What do you like?
Personally, I like to get the snacks that match the theme of the movie.
Oh my gosh.
Listen.
Are you serious?
I live and breathe this stuff. It makes it more fun.
You need help.
No, I do not. I have plenty capability to do this by myself. But it's more fun to do that when you watch it with people, to get themed snacks or to have more.
Okay, give me an example.
Okay. So if I were to watch While You Were Sleeping again, whether it's with you or if I watched it with a friend, that movie is Christmas themed. So I feel like popcorn, stuff like that, or like M&Ms, red and green M&Ms. It depends, though, because you can only get those in Christmas season, which I like to watch this movie at Christmas time, so that's doable.
Okay.
Or like Hershey Kisses, or since they, with Italy and the Florence, some pizza to eat with it. Yeah, you're going to put some thought into this.
So, like hot cocoa, maybe with this movie. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What about Hitch?
Well,
How would you theme that for your food selections?
it can be a little bit harder. It doesn't have to be exact, but with that one, I view that one as more of a masculine rom-com, if that makes sense. Like it appeals to both the rom-com side, but also, like you said, with men, like the comedy and that aspect of it. And the two main characters are men. It's not focusing on a female main character.
Right.
But for that one, so I think of like more flavorful foods, I guess, like chips or sandwiches, like
cookout?
Yeah, like cookout kind of thing.
Okay.
And I mean, if it's a snack time, if you're not going to have a whole meal while you're watching the movie, just like things like chips or pretzels or soda or
I never, ever have thought about matching snacks with a theme.
Well,
Tips and tricks that you hear here on Feelings in Flannel. I don't know if it works or not, but I'm willing to try it. So how about this? When we rewatch While You Were Sleeping, we'll theme it out top to bottom, and we'll just enjoy the movie both in flavor and viewing.
And with While You Were Sleeping, when we watch it, you just have to be in pajamas. You have to have a blanket because it's a cozy movie. So you have to have cozy snacks, cozy drinks, cozy attire, cozy vibe.
All right. Well, we might have to wait till it gets cold.
Yeah.
To cozy up. So, all right. Well, that's episode 5. Looking forward to episode 6.